Like if you remember the Muhammad who was the sniper in DC, do you remember that
Yeah,
story?
yeah,
And
him
then
and the
at the
kid, right?
yeah,
Wasn't
the
it?
kid, and then they're like at the very end, the chief of police says these weird words. He's like, the fox is in the hen house, or I can't remember what he said at the end. It's almost like they're trigger words. And this guy, if you read like Program to Kill by Dave McGowan, it just shows a lot of these military guys have been messed with. And Muhammad was military. Um, and there's a really obvious like guys who were in behavior modification or training. Heidnik, and we know of him. Possibly Dahmer, definitely Whitey Bulger was an MK Ultra victim.
Yeah.
Like really crazy stuff.
If you go to there, I mean, if you notice the text messages from this Robinson kid, vehicle, retrieve, those are like military words. You don't use normal words like that. So it's either someone wrote that for him or he somehow MK Ultra or something, because words retrieve, vehicle, you don't use that as
I
normal
mean, he shows
conversation.
no emotion if we're to believe what they're telling us. He shows no emotions.
Did you see the video of him when he was arraigned and he was being brought up on capital murder? He didn't even move. He didn't even say anything. He didn't say, I'm innocent, I'm guilty. He just stood there and stared at him like he was hypnotized or zapped
Yep.
or something.
I totally agree on that,
It
dude.
would have been his chance. Like, hey, this is baloney, or I wasn't there. The guy is like super smart. He had like a 34 on his ACT. Like, he's in the 99th percentile. And then somehow he gets this impulse to go shoot Charlie Kirk. Kirk was shot from the side. I don't think
Yeah,
the
I
30-06
totally
thing
agree
was
on
like,
that, dude.
yeah.
And it's just like everyone's like, yeah, dude, all these out of state plate vehicles came to his house. How do you know they're meeting with him? Maybe they're meeting with his dad. His dad's the one
Right.
who sold him out or was smart enough to get him arrested so they couldn't take him out. But none of this makes any sense, dude.
It doesn't make any sense. The Tyler Robinson story is obviously like fake. Here's this video. I don't know if you guys, let me see if I can share this. This is him being arraigned. Listen to him say nothing.
Other business that we need to address today, counsel.
Just for the court's information, we did file just recently, within the last few minutes, a notice of intent to seek the death penalty that was filed by Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray. So that should be in the court's file.
We're going to set up the death penalty. He just stares off into space. Like I would at least go, oh, crap, I could lose my life or do something. He reminds me of the Holmes, who was the Aurora killer, who, like, for me, he definitely got tampered with.
Oh yeah, I mean we've done episodes on the LIBOR scandal and just like all the connections between those two shooters and that scandal, and it's just crazy how they'll do it. And again, I mean the show we recorded earlier is going out on next week, but we talked about that movie Weapons, and just like the words and little things can trigger these assassins.
It's really true. They have to find the right subject, but certain people we're all on a scale of suggestibility. Some people you could not, but some people like Sirhan, he can bounce between different elements of his consciousness like a snap on the head. And people have said that when he did this fake shooting, the shot that killed RFK came from behind him. But when he was doing it, there was the famous girl in the polka dot dress, and she just touched his elbow, and that was his trigger.
What?
Yeah. And so he just went into firing stance. And that was how simple he was, because there's so many doctors who have looked at these guys, Chapman and Sirhan in particular, and they're like, these guys have been tampered with.
You're so correct. It's like those people that can get hypnotized on site. There's some that can, there's some that can't. It's just that simple. And if you find the one that's like that subjectable, where you just touch the elbow and all of a sudden they're in like that stance, you just got to find the right person. You're right. We're all subjectable, but it's just got to find that right.
Right, XG. It's called like the Stanford Suggestibility Table. You can look it up. It just has like all these indicators. So literally, if I wanted to like zap you, I'd start asking you questions, XG, and I'd go down the Stanford Suggestibility list and see if I could get you on there. I go, okay, this is my guy. And the same thing happens if you remember kind of like parlor trick hypnosis that they used to do. They'd invite like the whole audience up. I'd like to have 20 people come up on the stand and talk to him. And then he'd start doing his induction routine. And then he'd be like, okay, respond to this. And then 3 people wouldn't respond. He said, you could go sit down. So he's actually winnowing that kind of pool to like, okay, I've found that. That's what they do or used to do. They used to have those actually all the time. Actually, believe it or not, at the Carousel Club that Jack Ruby ran, they would do hypnotism, things like that at night, it's a tie-in to Oswald. But yeah, this is kind of real stuff. So some of these people are very susceptible and some aren't. And the trigger in the Manchurian Candidate is this Queen of Diamonds. So that's the trigger for the assassin, or trigger to access his lower kind of subconscious or subconscious that has been done within a lot of the stuff. It's really interesting in the movie because how astute Condon one was writing. By the way, they literally took whole passages from the book and put it in the movie. So whoever screen wrote didn't have to do a lot of writing, because he literally, like, their whole passages, he just cut and pasted into the film. But it shows Condon was astute because he was going into this academic studies of suggestibility and hypnosis. It's part of psychiatry. It's part of psychology. It's a subset, but these guys, really smart people. Like Jolly West was freaking brilliant, man.
Yeah.
The guy was a giant, like intellectual giant. I'm not saying he was a good person, but some of these other guys from Stanford and everything, they're all really researching hypnosis, and some are looking at it from a good perspective. Like, can we get into the deeper levels of subconscious and heal trauma, smoking?
It's super interesting because you get into, like, and I hope this doesn't take this too far off, but if you get in the Kavanaugh hearing for the Supreme Court, the woman who accuses him is her father ran black ops for the CIA. He had to get funding for black ops, and she was part of the CIA intern program there. And
from Stanford too, right?
From Stanford.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right? And it's like she's just running interference, so nobody actually looks at what he actually stood on. Like, he was part of the page. He wrote to help write the Patriot Act. He believes the president's above law. He doesn't believe in warrants to search her house. All this crazy ass shit. He's part of Whitewater. He worked with the Clintons on Whitewater. So instead of talking about that, they get you talking about, did he get weird in high school? But it goes back to Stanford and all that stuff with the CIA.